Do you find it difficult with your tenses in English, especially tenses like the present perfect? Well, actually, a lot of people do. That's why today we're going to have a look at the present perfect, and I'm going to tell you how to use it, when to use it, what it means, and why it's so important. But by the end of this video, when you've gone through the things that I've taught you and we've looked at the different examples, you'll be able to use this in the right situation, and that will make your English 10 times better. Okay, so let's have a look at the first part. This is the present perfect simple. Now, we're going to have a look in this video at the simple and the continuous, and we're going to look at the differences and how to use one and when to use the other. Now, this is something that a lot of people don't get and find it difficult, so don't worry about it, we're coming to that. So the present perfect simple is, what is it for? It's used to express a situation or actions that are linked to the present moment. Okay, so something that is happening or has happened in the past, something that's happened in the past that actually is relevant to now, okay? So it's relevant to what's going on at the moment. And I'll explain a little bit more about that later. So the focus is on the result of the action. So the action happened and the result is what's important. Okay, so let's have a look at how the present perfect simple is used and the two different ways in which we can use it. So the main ways. So here we have, it's describing experiences. So up to now, that's happened up to now, without specifying exactly when they happen or why even. So for example, she has visited Paris, okay? She has visited Paris. And this tells us that her experience of visiting Paris is with her now, okay? It's like, I have seen that film, I have read that book, okay? It's like this knowledge is in you, this knowledge is there. And it also works in the negative. I haven't read the book. I haven't visited Paris. I haven't seen the film. So then we know that experience is not with you. Okay, so this is why this is very important. And actually, this is, it's the same as what we're looking at here. So completed actions with present relevance. Okay, so do you want to see the film? I don't, because I have seen it. Okay, so also I have finished my homework. It means I don't have to do it now because I am in the state in which it is finished. It maybe happened in the past, but it's important now because I don't have to do it, right? So think about whether that thing in the past is important today. And if it's important in the moment, then that's when you use it. That's when you use the present perfect simple. So let's have a look. I want to make sure that you're really clear on this and why we use it and why it's used in the way that it is. Because although we explained it let's have a look at another example. So I have lived in London. I have lived in London. And it means it's not, what's important is the experience, not when. It doesn't matter that I have lived in London. In fact, when you use this present simple, perfect simple, you can't really use a time frame. It doesn't grammatically work. So that's why it's not important when or for how long. What's important is that it has been done. You have lived there. I have lived in London. I have the experience of it today with me right now. Okay, he has broken his leg. Okay, he has broken his leg. Now, just let's have a look at the grammar of it as well to make sure that you understand that this is the third verb. So we always use the third verb. So he has broken, I have eaten, I have lived, because this is regular. So just make sure that you're using that third verb as well. So he has broken his leg. So the result, the broken leg, is relevant because actually it's important that we know why it's done. So he's done it, it's there, and it's a situation now, if you see what we mean. So the leg is still broken and it has consequences now. So the thing is, he can't do this because he's broken his leg. Okay, so it happened and it's happening and it's part of his state now. It's all about the state of the person. It's all about what they are or what this situation is now. It's like this because of that in the past, okay? That's what you need to remember. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at the continuous form of the present perfect, the present perfect continuous. Now, you know what a continuous is? A continuous is like ongoing action, okay? So we're going to have a look at why and how that fits in here. So let's look at the example to start. So they have been watching a movie. Let's just stay with this one first. They have been watching a movie. They have been watching a movie. So again, it's very similar to the last grammar point that we looked at with the simple, whereas what has been going on, what they have been doing, is kind of relevant to now. We know what's going on. However, it focuses on the action or the duration. So what have they been doing? They have been watching a movie. All right, so this is always quite important that you know that it's the visible effects of this that we're looking at. So, for example, you're soaking wet. It has been raining. Okay, so you know why this happens. So this visible effect of what has been happening, either in the near past or going up to the point of which you're talking. Okay, what have you been doing? I have been watching a film. All right, you see how it works. Let's look at another example. We have been working all day. So you can add this on the end, and it's actually quite part of this, the importance of using the continuous and not using the simple, because you can talk about the duration. So we have been working all day, all week, all year. Okay, you can use this, and it tells you what's been going on. Like, what have you been doing? The question. So we can say what have you been doing? This is the question we can ask. We have been working all day. Okay, so you might ask the question because you see the people are tired or the people have not been at home. So you see the reason that you can build the meaning is because you can see the results and you can see what's happening. Okay, right, let's look at some more examples. So don't worry if you get these two mixed up and you're not quite sure which one to use, because it will become clear later, a little bit later. But let's just have a look now at the continuous, the present perfect continuous main points. So as I mentioned a few minutes ago, that they can be used as an action that started in the past and continued up until now. Okay, so something that started in the past and is going right up to this point. Okay, so for example, you have been running. This is a good example to show this one. So this one here, you can say, you have been running. I can tell because you're out of breath. Remember, we talked about the raining because you're wet. Okay, so you have the result. You can see something. And you're saying, this is why, because I have been running. I am out of breath. Okay? Okay, so emphasizing duration of an action. Remember the example we looked at on the other slide? She has been studying. So this one, let's have a look. Let's just do a different sign. So she has been studying English for 3 years. The duration is 3 years. It's emphasizing that. She has been studying for 3 years. She may continue to study, but it has started in the past. It's going up until now, and it might go forward. We never know. Okay, to describe actions that have just stopped and have present result. Okay, so this is similar also to this one. Remember, you've been running. I can tell because you're out of breath. So this one, I would say, is very similar to these two. So we can interchange. Now, the reason that we use these and that we can show the examples like this is because there are different ways of using it. But remember that with these phrases here, these rules, for example, do interchange a little bit as well. So I'm going to tell you now how to find the difference, or how to work out the difference between the simple and the continuous. Okay, so let's look at distinguishing between the two, because I know that's something that you're probably waiting to find out the key for, or to have a clue for it. Well, it's easy, because simple, we're looking at the result, okay? And with the continuous, we're looking on focusing on duration. Now, I know that that's not a perfect rule, but it's actually a rule that you need to keep in mind when you're wondering which one to use. If you follow that, you won't make a mistake in the short term, okay? So let's just have a quick look at the example here. So he has painted the room. So you can use the perfect simple for the result. The room is done, he's painted it, okay? Now, if we want to find out, is it finished? Yes, you can see the result, it's done, he has painted, it's done. Now, if we want to know about how long he's been doing it, he has been painting the room for 3 days, okay? So when we're using this continuous, we can say he has been painting. So let's just write it here. So he has been painting the room. And then we can put the time frame, 4 3 days. I just squeezed it on there. So this is why when we're using the continuous, it's all about the duration. Okay? Or it's just all about what has he been doing. So it's, again, not only is it to do with duration, but it's also about what that person has been doing or what that situation has been doing. But result-wise, you can say that when you use the simple, the result is always important. It's always the thing that's important. Remember those couple of rules we looked at when we looked at the simple before? They were all about what was initially the result in the end. Okay, the result in the end is what's important with simple. And with continuous, it's the duration. Remember that, and you will always use the correct one, even if it's possible to use the other. Okay? Okay, so let's just take that example that we used before, and I've got it up there now, so we can have a look at it in a bit more detail. So, for example, when you're using this present perfect continuous for the duration, we're doing it like this, as I explained. So he started in the past, just to kind of give you the overview. He started in the past, and he's still painting, okay? Now that's the important thing. So he has been painting the room for 3 hours. All right, it doesn't tell us that it's finished. It's not finished. Okay, it's continuing. He's been doing it for 3 hours. We're assuming he's still doing it. Okay, that's what it tells us. This doesn't tell us that he's not. He might be finished, but we don't know. You see, at the moment with this sentence, it tells us it's ongoing. It's still going. This is why this is important here. Okay. So let's have a look about state verbs. So for example, like know, believe, belong. Not usually used in continuous, okay? So for example, looking at the correct, I have known him for years. Incorrect, I have been knowing him. You can't use this, okay? So if it's a state verb, you cannot use it in continuous. It's the same with all continuous forms as well. It's not just in the present perfect. So just make sure that you're aware of this, okay? It's the same with loving, liking, although people do make exceptions for these words, but these ones, for example, especially can't be used in continuous. You will hear it sometimes. You know, McDonald's advert is the classic, I'm loving it. It's not correct English, it's not good grammar, but it's like so easy to hear now, and you hear it all the time. So it's kind of become part of our English language, even if it's initially wrong. So, sometimes a stative verb, for example, can be used in both the simple and continuous form. Now, there is a slight difference, and as a native speaker actually, who would interchange these quite easily, I have to almost peel apart the two meanings in order to explain to you, because it's very close, and you can use either of these with a very similar result, and you might do. You might not even be aware of the result you want. So, present perfect simple, I have lived here for years. Focusing on the result, okay? Even though we're talking about duration in a way. Present perfect continuous, I have been living here for years. So what's the difference? Well, actually the difference is that this has the feeling of being about duration, okay? I've been living here for years. The emphasis on the years, okay? I've been living here for all that time. This one, I've lived here for years, is almost like you're telling somebody, and that makes it different for me. That makes me different, okay? Because we're talking about the result. I've lived here for years. So, my God, I've lived here for a long time. I'm different, okay? So, even though it's such a small difference, and it's still talking about the amount of time you've lived somewhere, this is what you'd use if you wanted to emphasize how it's changed you. Whereas this is what you'd use if you wanted to emphasize the time itself. But you might not think that deeply, and you might just use either or, which you can. That's when it gets confusing. But you can practice, you can have a look and you can see. Remember, all the slides that we've got on this video today, you can get from the eye there. You can also get from a link below, and you can do the quiz and you can see how you got on. But I encourage you to watch and watch again so you just really get it. Right, so let's have a look at some practice exercises just to kind of get a feel for whether what we've talked about in the video has kind of gone in and you started to understand deeply. So what I'll do is I'll leave out the space, I'll give you a space, and you will be able to put your own answer in there. So I just won't say anything, and you will also be able to put something in yourself. So have a look. So for example, French since I was a child. So what do you think you would put there? What type of, would you use continuous or would you use simple? So let's have a look at whether we can use both maybe. So I have been studying French since I was a child. Okay, you can say that. We're talking about the duration there. You can also say I have studied French since I was a child. But also I think maybe from what we were talking about before, doesn't it feel better if you use the continuous? Because really what you're focusing on here is the duration. So you can see now how you can get a feeling for the grammar. So what do I use? Do I use this or do I use that? What sounds and feels better? In this sense, I have been studying. So I have been studying. I think this one sounds better to me as a native speaker. So what do you think? Okay, number 2. Her keys and can't find them. Now this one is pretty much a definite answer. There's no ability to change. Yes, you're right. She has lost. She has lost her keys and can't find them because it's about this. It's about this result. She can't find her keys because she has lost them. All right? That past event is meaning that now she can't find them. The result. Okay, number 3. They in Canada for the past 5 years. What do you think? It's similar to this one actually. You can say they have been living in Canada for the past 5 years, and I would say because of this duration added on to the end of there, I would say we'd probably use they have been living. So they have been living in Canada for the past 5 years. Duration. Okay, you can say they have lived in Canada for the past 5 years, but again, it doesn't feel right. You can probably say they have lived in Canada for 5 years, maybe, but again, it just also doesn't feel right. They have been living feels more natural, the same as I have been studying. Okay, let's have a look at number 4. So he on the project in the last few days. What do you think is this? Okay, he has not worked on the project in the last few days. For me, this sounds normal. This sounds right. He has not worked on the project in the last few days. So now the result is the project is not finished, or the project has not been moved forward. But again, you could say he has not been working on the project in the last few days, but it just feels, for me, it feels clunky. I would say this was the correct answer. He's not worked on it in the last few days, therefore now it has not progressed. So I hope this video has been useful for you, and I understand that it's actually quite tricky to get the difference between the two. But if you remember this result and duration thing, that will really help you. And also remember what I said and look at these again. Just that you can have a feel for is the grammar correct or not. And you know, whatever else you put in the sentence, if it's a duration, go with the continuous. If it's a result that you've put in the sentence, go with the simple. And then at least you know that you're safe. And this is the way to do it. But use this, learn this, go through it, and you will increase your English level really quite a lot. So make sure you do this test we have on the video that's coming up here. You can test your English level. You can see how you've got on with the last few videos that we've looked at. You can also, remember, get all these slides on the I and on that link below, like we've said before. Do the test, do the quiz, watch the video again, really lock it in. So I think you'll be much more happy with this video. It's going to be great. So please carry on watching, and we'll see you next time.